This is The Energy Show with REI Energy. Energize your investments and maximize your tax deductions. Here's Mike Mauceli.
My name is Mike Mauceli, and this is The Energy Show with REI Energy, where we're energizing your investments and maximizing your tax deductions. Today, we're going to be discussing EPA restrictions, and you're going to discover how the EPA's proposed new regulations will impact the supply chain and increase prices for the consumer. Our guest today is Mike Kucharski. Mike is the owner of JKC Trucking. Great to have you on the show today, Mike. So you're in the trucking business, right?
Yes, sir. Me and my father run JKC Trucking. We specialize in LTL freight, which means less than truckloads, and we go from the Midwest to the entire West Coast. We have 2 terminals in California, one in Northern California in Stockton, and then one in Southern California, which is Santa Fe Springs, which is kind of East LA. And we haul food product for restaurants and grocery stores.
Well, I wanted to talk to you today primarily about the EPA. You know, there's been a lot of news lately, not only in, as far as for electric vehicles, but I know there's been a big push to convert every vehicle in the United States, even the large trucks, to electric. I mean, I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on what it would take to do that.
This is a great question. This is not as simple as they say. This is a transition to cleaner energy vehicles. It's going to be significant and complex. Just to give you guys an idea, this mandate that California is pushing about these electric vehicles, it's based on brand new technology. And I support green energy, but it's extremely frustrating because I do not agree with California. Furthermore, I'm kind of sick of California jamming down truckers' throats as we are. For example, California wants to force half of its trucks to be electrified by 2035. These regulations are not practical. I always say banning diesels is impractical and almost impossible for 5 reasons. 1, cost, astronomical. 2, infrastructure. We're not ready. 3, testing and data. That's my biggest concern. 4, driver range for long distance tractors is not there. And that's what we specialize in, long distance trucking. And due to these batteries being too heavy, we're going to be able to take less payload, which is also going to be kind of concerning in the transportation sector because we'll be able to help less payload.
And do you even have any idea how large of a battery it would take to move, heavy freight across the U.S.?
Yeah, so I think I was watching Andrew Boyle from Boyle Trucking, and he was doing an interview, and he said that so we need 2 batteries on a semi truck, and I want to say each battery is 8,000 pounds each, so 16,000 pounds of extra weight we're going to have to acquire. And just to give you an idea, right now when we do diesel trucks, we take on about 300 gallons of diesel fuel, and the farther we go, the lighter we get because we're burning this fuel, so we get a little bit better gas mileage down the road. But these batteries are going to be 16,000 pounds, fully charged or empty, which is kind of concerning because it messes with our distance and fuel mileage.
So what kind of impact does that have on the roads to basically add an additional 16,000 pounds to, I don't know how many trucks are on the road, but I sure see a lot of them out there moving freight.
No, it's a great question. So 1 or 2 things are going to have to happen. So either the federal motor carrier is going to have to raise we currently are only able to haul 80,000 pounds gross weight across U.S. highways. That's the limit. So 2 things are going to happen. They either have to increase the gross to 80,000, well, it would be then 96,000 pounds for the extra 16,000 pounds, or we will have to cut and if they don't do that, we will have to cut the payload by 16,000 pounds. So let's say we're taking a load of carrots, we will have to, as soon as we hit the max weight, that's it. We won't be able to take any more product because we'll be overweight to travel over federal highways.
But don't these regulations kind of defeat the purpose to basically you're carrying less? So that means you're going to have more employees, more trucks on the road, more, heavy equipment to move this, and I don't even know how long a battery charge would last. Or is there even infrastructure out there to basically charge these batteries if the trucking industry did move forward?
No, great question. Infrastructure. The power grid is not ready. Not ready. We don't have the power grid, especially California. We don't have enough charging stations. Let me provide two examples. Earlier I was saying Andrew Boyle of Boyle Transportation went to Washington to testify before a Senate Environmental and Public Works subcommittee on the future of clean vehicles. And he gave an example after one trucking company tried to electrify just 30 trucks here in a terminal in Joliet, Illinois, which is about a half hour from here. Illinois local officials shut those plans down, saying that they would draw more electricity than is needed to power the entire city. So, we just have 30 trucks and Joliet, Illinois is saying, hey, this is going to consume more than the whole town consumes. I want to say there's about 600,000 trucks, semi-trucks in the state of California. Do you know that I can't even calculate the incredible energy we would need to use to charge these trucks?
So under these mandates that California is proposing, are they saying that, well, we're not, if you're not electric, you're not going to be able to deliver the freight into our state? Is that kind of what they're proposing?
Pretty much, yes. They put up timelines saying, look, that they want all the trucks, like I said, they want half the trucks to be electrified by 2035. They're banning selling of diesels, I want to say by 2030. I forget the exact number, but it'll be very soon. So you won't buy diesel trucks in California. You'll be forced to buy these electric trucks. But the really frustrating thing about these electric trucks is the cost. Let me give you a quick example. A new clean diesel long haul tractor typically costs in the range of $180,000 to $200,000. That used to be cheaper, but since COVID, everything's gone up. A comparable battery electric tractor costs upwards of $480,000. That's just a $300,000 upcharge, prohibiting of the overwhelming majority of motor carriers. More than 95% of these trucking companies are small businesses operating 10 trucks or fewer. Complying with these mandates will push many carriers out of business and tighten the capacity nationwide, causing severe price inflations for all goods, continuing what's happening.
Does the EPA even talk to the trucking industry before they go out and try to pass these ridiculous laws?
I wish the EPA would talk to the trucking industry because there's so many things that have to happen. If new technology passes and it's better than the previous technology, truckers would be attracted to that. One of my Todd Spencer from OIDA, president of OIDA, Owner Operator Independent Association, said, if you're talking about something that actually really does deliver benefits for all around, you don't have to mandate stuff like that. People gravitate to it. They go after it because they say, I want it because it makes everything better. And the frustrating part is, if these trucks were better, you wouldn't have to mandate. The trucking community would want to, use this technology. But, if this technology fails, the entire supply chain will be dead in the water, and failure is not merely inconvenient, it's going to be catastrophic. It's not an option for us, especially for the food supply chain of America.
How do these trucking companies, I think I saw an interview you did where you were talking about most of the trucks in the U.S. are owned by small businesses. I mean, how are these businesses going to be able to survive by having these regulations?
It's gonna be impossible because now instead of paying down a tractor that costs $180,000 to $200,000, you're gonna have to pay a tractor down that's cost $480,000. And like I said, this new technology, usually a tractor lasts lifetime between 4 to 5 years or more. We don't know how long these electric trucks are going to use because honestly, I just saw my first electric truck here in Illinois going down the road. I haven't gotten in one yet. I haven't drove one yet. I saw one at a Nikola show in Salt Lake City maybe 7 years ago. It was probably even longer than that. But I haven't really seen one, so we don't know. That's how brand new this technology is.
I was talking to a guest here a couple of weeks ago about electric cars, and of course, she was telling me about this charging station that they have in California. That it's a Tesla, one of these super charging stations. I think they have over 100 of these charging facilities there. And but what they didn't tell you is that they had a diesel plant down the road that they were using to charge, to provide the electricity to charge the batteries. I mean, going back to your comments a little bit earlier about the infrastructure or the grid itself. I mean, I don't know where we're expected to get all this electricity from, even to charge these.
Yeah, it's our grid is currently not there. There would have to be some kind of new technology comes out that would be able to supply a lot more electricity, and probably a lot more electricity in a newer, cleaner form, and other than like you said, using diesel, or right now a lot of coal plants are running full bar. Coal is not clean, so we have to choose the one of the evils. What are we going to use?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be windmills and solar panels. I mean, we're all for. I mean, I'm for green energy, right? I think we need all forms of energy in the world today. Heck, we've got close to 7 billion people who are now on the planet. So, we need all forms of energy, but, it comes to the point of where, you got to build out the infrastructure first before you go and, mandate all of these in EPA and these environmental concerns, right?
Yeah. And then, you have the infrastructure is the first part. My biggest concern is the testing and data of these. I want to know, how will these trucks work in the extreme cold? How will they work in high elevations? How will they work in the Las Vegas desert, Death Valley? Because one way to kill a lithium battery is with extreme heat or extreme cold. So, we haven't seen this testing and data. I want to see how this truck's gonna go through the mountains of Colorado and all this stuff, because currently with our diesel trucks, we have issues in elevations because the truck runs differently in elevation. So if we're having problems with these diesels that we've had for such a long time and we've tried to fine tune, what's going to happen with these electric trucks?
Yeah, and what are they going to do with the batteries after they deplete, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you're hearing a lot of these. I'm seeing a lot of this. They're going to start recycling these batteries. But how's this? If you watch, I never knew how we get lithium batteries until I watched a documentary of how lithium is pulled out of the ground. Just pulling this lithium out of the ground, we're burning so much diesel around the world. We're polluting them. We're doing more damage by pulling this out of the ground than we are in the long run. And these are the frustrating parts that nobody thinks about these things, because they're saying, hey, I'm going to feel so great having a Tesla car driving around. I'm going to plug in. But, what did it take to get to that Tesla car? That's what we need to ask.
Can you update one of the older trucks to convert it to electric, or do you have to just buy a new vehicle?
I haven't seen nobody redoing the trucks that you could update them. I'm hearing that, another green energy that's coming out is going to be hydrogen, right? And I know Cummins, one of the biggest diesel engine builders in the world, is retooling all their diesel engines so they can run on hydrogen. That might be a possibility in the future, that you might be able to retool your diesel engine to run on hydrogen. But there's going to be a lot more to it. The fueling cells and all that. You have to do a lot of rewiring of the truck. So I don't know if it'll be worth it.
So when the EPA comes out and they, push these mandates, and you said they don't really talk to the trucking industry or basically any other industry. I guess they're pushing mandates to get rid of electric stoves and, not electric stoves, but gas stoves, and get rid of your gas hot water heaters. It just seems like that, it's not only going to impact the consumer, but if you have to now spend $400,000 on a new electric truck, isn't that going to increase the prices that you have to charge? So it's going to impact the supply chain overall.
Of course. And there was I saw the interview, I forgot where it was, but they asked, who's going to ideally pay for these electric trucks and all these extra costs? And, they said, pretty much the government said, hey, the end user, the American people, are going to pay for these electric trucks, which is kind of a slap in the face, if it would make the world a better place and immediately, and there was great technology then better than we have now, I mean, maybe I would be on board, but there's too many questions to ask, and then we're going to pay for this. That doesn't sound fair and doesn't sound like a solid plan in my opinion.
Yeah, but I don't think they really tell people that. I mean, obviously, if it's costing you more money to basically buy trucks and to maintain these electric trucks, then you have to charge the shipping. I mean, you have to charge the company you're shipping for more money, and then of course it just goes right on down the line and ends up being the American taxpayer in the end.
Yeah, correct. And then, not only the trucking companies, but like the farming equipment that we use, the farmers use, run on diesel. They're also trying to electrify those. They're trying to electrify the whole spectrum. And if you do that, everybody's gonna have to pay more because it's gonna cost us more to do it. In order to survive, we have to roll this down to the end user. Well, we already know it's going to be the American people, and there's got to be a better way. We need to sit down with government officials, truckers, and talk about the problems we have. So we can come up with solutions together. To get the American economy roaring again.
So let's talk a little bit about clean diesel, because I don't know a lot about it. I mean, I do know that there's been regulations over the years to reduce emissions, and I think the United States is probably either the leader or number two in reducing carbon emissions already. Mm-hmm. So after all of these regulations over the years, I mean, we've come to clean diesel. I mean, how much difference is that between electric, I guess? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, but the clean diesel, it has, so just to talk about this technology, the EPA required, or California required, trucks coming into California having the new diesel emissions. And what this is it's a muffler. It's called a particular filter, and it's catching the carbon instead of letting it in the atmosphere, and it kind of burns it off into this muffler kind of sorter, and it kind of recirculates the gases through the engine. So it's kind of hurting the engine in the long run, not the environment. And I think this technology is great. It's been getting better. But when this technology came out, they pushed it through so fast that we had issues, and we continue to have issues because half of my trucks are broken down because of the system. The system, when there's an issue with the system, it puts your truck into like a limp mode that you could only go 5-10 miles an hour, and then you have to pray that the driver could get to a shop or be towed, and then the dealer or the shop that's fixing you has to reset these codes and try to fix the device. And then there's been times that my truck has been broken down and we couldn't, the shop or the dealer couldn't fix the device because we didn't know what was wrong with it. And in the trucking industry, especially in the food industry that we haul, like perishables, produce, time is money, and we can't be down because we're trying to get, for example, produce comes out of California in the summertime to, say, Illinois. We're trying to get that produce as fast as possible to distribute to the people, so it'd be the freshest. And we're getting stuck across the way. Not only is it costing the trucking company money, but it's affecting the quality of the food, which is also hurting the American people.
So is the EPA opposed to having hybrid vehicles, like half diesel, half electric?
I don't think they're opposed to that. And one of the things, one of the call actions that I've been saying that, number one, obviously this technology being passed through way too fast with little testing and data, but the truckers need an affordable hybrid truck with at least two systems of power. If one shuts down or breaks, the other one continues. I would love to see a truck with 3 systems, because let's say we have a problem with, the lithium batteries, we could start a generator, continue on, or start a small diesel engine and continue going with to the final destination without stopping and being stranded somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it would seem to me that they could, if they're going to make you use electric, that these vehicles should be able to charge themselves as they drive. And therefore, like you said, it's great when you come into a city to use the electric, but when you're out on the highway and you should be able to use diesel or some other type of form of fuel in order to And, I don't know if that gets them where they want to be. I mean, I'm assuming that it's an all or none issue with the EPA, right? We either want all electric or nothing.
Yeah, and so just to give you an idea, Nikola Trucks has made a truck. It has lithium batteries, but it has a hydrogen generator, which I love this system because the hydrogen, you charge up the batteries, and if you're running low on fuel, the hydrogen generator kicks in. I mean, I haven't seen a hydrogen generator in person yet, but the way it works is, I guess, water vapors come out of the exhaust, which sounds like a win-win, right? I like that system much better than just electric truck because we could rely on this hydrogen generator getting us a little bit farther, because we should be going a little bit farther than, when a new technology comes out, in my opinion, right now our trucks, when we fully fuel up, we have a range of 1,800 miles, right? And we should have the same kind of range in this new technology, or honestly, I think we should have a farther range. We should make it to all the way to California from Chicago, which is over 2,000 miles, let's say, without fueling up. Yeah. That'd be a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, it would push, obviously, people, like you said earlier, to want to buy the trucks at that point if it was going to be a financial benefit to the trucking company to make the investment in these new trucks.
Yeah, it would be huge.
So how is the trucking industry fighting back against the EPA?
Well, let's take a step back and let me try to set the stage here. Like the Biden stricter EPA regulations, I want to say could cause food prices to go up, but I'm not an economist and not an expert on the food supply chain, but I could talk about what's happening in the transportation industry affecting the food supply chain. Inflation is, I would say, already ruining Thanksgiving dinner. The entire spectrum that people don't understand or don't think about are paying more. From the farmers are paying more, food production is paying more, warehousing distribution is paying more, the trucking companies paying more. So all this is affecting the prices of food and business. And one of the huge issues that the trucking industry right now is really hurting from, we're dealing with something called volume volatility. And volume volatility in supply chain means that the volumes are down and the rates are down. I mean, this because there's less product to haul, so it pushes the rates down, and shippers are going to the market, and the freight is going to the lowest bidder. And right now, this is what's killing trucking companies because all our costs are up, diesel's up, and then this volume volatility, the rates are going down. So it's only a matter of time until we all go out of business. Well, trucking companies are already going out of business, as you can see, but until this corrects itself, we're in bad shape in the long run. Everybody's thinking that, hey, it's going to get better next year. And I pray because this year has been a very bad year for JKC. And I would say all trucking companies across the spectrum. I don't care if you're UPS or Amazon, everybody's hurting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, the consumer can only, support so much. I mean, right now, the consumer is spending the liquidity that they do have, but moving forward, if this continues, then obviously at some point they're going to just run out of money and have too much debt where we're going to see the whole system start to collapse.
Yes, and I pray that doesn't happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know in the oil and gas industry, we've been under similar issues with the EPA. In fact, they've tried to put the fossil fuel industry out of business. And by doing that, of course, they've increased diesel prices, which obviously increases the money that you have to charge the farmers or whoever you're carrying for. And like we were talking a little bit earlier, it all goes down to the consumer, and the consumer's only going to be to handle so much. Well, Mike, it was great having you on the show today, and I'd love to have you back in the future.
No, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for your support.
All right, thank you.
You've been listening to The Energy Show with REI Energy. Energize your investments and maximize your tax deductions. To learn more, go to reienergy.com.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.